The global trade landscape is shifting once again, and the stakes are higher than ever. The US and China are locked in a bitter trade war. It's a battle for economic dominance and global influence. Tariffs and counter-tariffs are disrupting global supply chains. Businesses face uncertainty and recession risks are rising. This trade war reflects a larger geopolitical rivalry. The world is becoming increasingly multipolar. The US-China trade war is sending shockwaves through the global economy. Businesses are hesitant to invest, and consumers face higher prices. Financial markets are volatile, raising fears of a global recession. The IMF warns the trade war threatens global growth. Resolving tensions is critical to avoid economic disaster. The stakes are high, and the world is watching anxiously. Emerging markets like India are caught in the crossfire of the US-China trade war. These economies are particularly vulnerable because they rely heavily on trade and investment. The trade war could disrupt their growth trajectories and create, well, significant economic instability. India, for example, is a major exporter of goods to both the US and China. The trade war is disrupting supply chains and reducing demand for Indian goods, and this is, unfortunately, hurting Indian businesses and workers. The Indian government is trying to mitigate the impact of the trade war by diversifying its trading partners. However, the global economic slowdown caused by the trade war is also hurting India. Foreign investment is declining and the Indian rupee is weakening. These factors are putting significant pressure on the Indian economy. The trade war has created a challenging environment for emerging markets. That said, despite the challenges, some emerging markets see opportunities in the trade war. As companies look to diversify their supply chains away from China, countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh are attracting more investment. Still, it remains to be seen whether these gains can offset the broader negative impact of the trade war on the global economy. Section 4. China's counteroffensive strategies for economic resilience. China is not, passively accepting the US tariffs. The country is pursuing a multi-pronged strategy to mitigate the impact of the trade war and, honestly, to emerge stronger in the long run. This strategy involves boosting domestic consumption, strengthening ties with other trading partners, and accelerating technological innovation. One key element of China's strategy is to reduce its reliance on exports and boost domestic consumption. The Chinese government is implementing policies to increase household incomes and encourage spending. This, in turn, will help to offset the decline in demand from the US. China is also strengthening ties with other countries to reduce its dependence on the US market. For example, China is negotiating trade deals with the European Union and countries in Southeast Asia. They are also investing heavily in infrastructure projects around the world through their Belt and Road Initiative. Furthermore, China is accelerating its efforts to become self-sufficient in critical technologies like semiconductors and artificial intelligence. This will reduce China's vulnerability to US restrictions on technology exports. Section 5. A world divided, shifting alliances in the trade war. The US-China trade war is reshaping global alliances. Countries are being forced to choose sides or, find ways to navigate the increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. Some countries are siding with the US, while others are aligning themselves with China. The European Union, for example, is caught in a difficult position. The EU is a close trading partner of both the US and China. They're trying to maintain good relations with both sides while also defending their own economic interests. The trade war is also creating opportunities for other countries to increase their influence. Russia, for instance, is strengthening its ties with China. They're also seeking to increase their exports to countries that are looking for alternatives to US and Chinese goods. The trade war is accelerating the trend toward a multipolar world. Power is shifting away from the US and toward other countries, particularly China. This is leading to a more fragmented and frankly unpredictable international order. Section 6. The high cost of protectionism. Lessons from history. The current trade war between the United States and China serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of protectionism. History has shown time and again that protectionist policies rarely achieve their intended goals. Instead, they often lead to economic harm, geopolitical instability, and, unintended consequences. One of the most well-known examples of the perils of protectionism is the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. This act, signed into law during the Great Depression, raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. The intention was to protect American jobs and industries. However, the act backfired spectacularly. Instead of boosting the American economy, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act exacerbated the Great Depression. It triggered a wave of retaliatory tariffs from other countries, which crippled global trade. This, in turn, led to further job losses and economic hardship around the world. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act is a cautionary tale about the dangers of protectionism. It shows that trade wars are rarely, if ever, won. Instead, they often leave a trail of economic devastation and geopolitical instability in their wake. Section 7. Lessons from this video. Understanding global trade dynamics. The U.S. China trade war is a defining moment in the global economy. It highlights the interconnectedness of global trade and the importance of understanding the complex dynamics that shape international commerce. Navigating this new landscape requires businesses, policymakers, and individuals to adapt and develop a deeper understanding of global trade. One key takeaway from the trade war is the need for diversification. Businesses that rely heavily on a single market are particularly vulnerable to disruptions. Diversifying supply chains, exploring new markets, and reducing dependence on a single trading partner are essential strategies for mitigating risk. Another important lesson is the importance of dialogue and cooperation. The trade war has shown that unilateral actions can have unintended consequences. Resolving trade disputes requires open communication, a willingness to compromise, and a commitment to finding mutually beneficial solutions. Finally, the trade war underscores the need for a rules-based trading system. The World Trade Organization, or WTO, plays a critical role in setting the rules of global trade and resolving disputes. Strengthening the WTO and ensuring that all countries adhere to its rules is essential for maintaining a stable and predictable global trading system.